So I first came to CSL in September of 1999. I came here to meet a cute guy that I was pretty sure I'd had meaningful eye contact with at a singles spiritual event a few days before. But I didn't have the courage to actually say anything. So anyway, came to church, and pretty quickly I found out that God had a bigger idea for the highest and best good for me. That morning I started receiving guidance from my higher wisdom self that was very clear and very firm. It said, "You're not here to meet the guy. You're here to meet the church." I like to sleep late on Sunday mornings. I was not looking for a spiritual community. Then it said, "You're supposed to train to be a prayer practitioner." That sounded okay. So I started Foundations. I'm coming to church every week, and it's fall. So it is intentional giving campaign time. That year was my very first stewardship campaign, and here's what I learned. I learned that you don't have to give to earn God's approval. You already have it. I learned that God doesn't care whether or not you give to the Center for Spiritual Living in Seattle. I learned that you give for your own spiritual development, that giving to that which spiritually nourishes you is a spiritual practice, just like prayer, meditation, sacred service. You give because it feels good to be a part of that cycle of giving and receiving. So in November, before I'd finished Foundations or become a member, because you had to do that before you could be a member, I made a commitment to tithe to the Center for Spiritual Living in Seattle. I'd never even pledged anywhere before. And on Thursday night, I made my 17th annual pledge to the Center for Spiritual Living in Seattle. And recently, as things have been shifting here at the center, I got a new interpretation download for that first piece of information, "You're here to meet the church." Actually, I now think it was that it was actually an arranged marriage. And that I was being told to commit myself to this community and to allow myself to be grown by a deep dive into the principles and practices of science of mind. What I've gotten to see over these years as a practitioner, as a board member, as a trustee and president and treasurer and all that stuff, was how these teachings just enhance people's lives, how it really is a way to make your life work. You know, the United Centers has a phrase, "a world that works for everyone." I think Centers for Spiritual Living teach you how to live in that kind of world. And so I want to invite you to consider doing the same thing. Whether you've already pledged before or you're ready to make a deeper dive, I want to ask you to give in a way that is substantial and meaningful, that actually reflects your commitment to the God of your being. When I was first here, we sang a song, "I'm changed, God is first in my life." That's actually how God told me to pledge. He said, "Prove it." Well, he didn't. I heard, "Prove it." So I did. And I invite you to consider doing the same, but at least consider deeply giving and giving generously to this place that has fed you so that it continues to be able to feed all of us and so many more. Thanks.